My name's Angelo, and welcome to We Want Picks. I'm going to give you our plays for UFC Vegas 79, but before I do, let's talk about the success that was Noche UFC. I was basically even. These fights, everything that I put in this video last week, dead even. Like literally it was a $3 difference. Dead even. Jacob, on the other hand, absolutely crushed. And this is like his 6th or 7th event in a row where he did that incredibly well. He is up 5.4 units from last week. His lock of the week was Alexa Grasso. That was a draw. That is what it is. But he picked a perfect card. And before you're a nerd about it and say, well, there was a draw, he didn't pick. Shut up. He picked a perfect card. 9 fights happened. 9 fights had an actual winner, and he called all 9 of those correctly. My bets in this video, as I mentioned, were even, but the safety parlay did well again. The safety parlay is 7-3 in the last 10 events. So at 70% hit rate in the last 10 events, the ROI is absolutely through the roof. All-time units are over 20 in net profit. If you want access to the safety parlay and all of Jacob's stuff, WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top. It is only $10 a month. And let's look at what the other premium members in this community have done. $61,000 in winnings at Noche UFC. This is only premium members, and this is only from Noche UFC. This isn't an accumulation of multiple events. One single event, our premium members managed to put these types of numbers on the board. And not only did they put the numbers on the board, they provided context. Lee, with $3 sign, said, with the help of the breakdown videos and all the tools, I had another successful week of Stat Hero UFC. Thank you a lot. If we take a look at Big Rover, he said, the sexy salamander coming in hot. Thanks for keeping me from eating ice soup. BCRLP said, I just joined premium last week. Over $120 in profits last night in my first event. The no contest and draw sort of messed up my 11-fight parlay, but you guys are on point. Looking forward to the next card. It's not an accident. Every week, go back to every video. Every week, we're putting up giant numbers like this. And that's because not only are there some copy-paste bets and things like that, but there's also tools. You're going to get the line movement tracker. This is going to give you opening odds, current odds, win probability, and the line movement for every single fight on every single card. This event, UFC Vegas 79, 2 fighters opened as a dog and will close as the favorite. 8 fighters have had 20% line movement or more. So that's actually a good amount of movement for a regular fight night card. And don't forget, as always, we'll send you $50. Just go to WeWantPicks.com/bets, sign up with any one of our partners using the link, make a deposit, and we send you $50 as a thank you. It's affiliate marketing. You use the link. They tag that to us. They say, thanks, Ange. Here's some money. I take off some of that money. I give it right back to you. WeWantPicks.com/bets. Sign up, make a deposit. We'll send you $50, PayPal, Cash App, or Venmo. Let's go ahead and break down this card. UFC Vegas 79. The first thing I'm going to do is talk about my most confident favorites, my solid underdogs, right? Some of my more confident underdogs, and then we'll get right into the actual bets that we have placed. Confident favorite-wise, I love Tamiris Vidal. I love her. Minus 220, that feels like value. I think she should be minus 500, frankly. She opened she was a wider favorite on the weekend, like minus 275. And I don't know why that has closed to minus 220. I would love if somebody watching this would let us know in the comments section. Oh, yes, money came in on the Montserrat side because of this. I have no idea why. I think Tamiris Vidal is better everywhere, dominates that fight. Jacob Malkoun, minus 700. That's a big, wide line at this point because his opponent, Cody Brundage, is dangerous. But the reality is Jacob should be able to weather whatever early storm there is and then just outwork Cody, get the takedowns. I don't know if he's going to finish him. Cody is tending to lose by finish in his losses, but Jacob Malkoun might be the least dangerous guy on this card. But Jacob, very, very confident play. Then Dan Argueta and Brian Battle. I put those two together because I'll tell you right now, I am very confident in both of them, but I understand why other people may not be. Dan Argueta, he is fighting another wrestler, Miles Johns, but Miles Johns doesn't wrestle. He's got the wrestling. He competed at a decent level, but doesn't actually use it. He just sits on power, waiting to throw it. Where Dan Argueta also wrestled, has a wrestling background, and uses that wrestling. He just smoked Ronnie Lawrence, and Ronnie Lawrence was a phenomenal wrestler. And Dan Argueta had 0 issues taking him down and beating him. So I am personally confident in Dan Argueta. And then Brian Battle. I love Brian Battle here. I get the dots people are connecting. Brian Battle's fighting a wrestler. And people are going to say, well, He's fighting AJ Fletcher. AJ Fletcher gets takedowns. AJ Fletcher has power in his hands. We watch Bryan Battle lose to a wrestler. You cannot compare AJ Fletcher and Rinat Fakhretdinov, the guy who beat Bryan Battle. You can't compare their wrestling. It's just not even close. And if you go watch the Bryan Battle loss to Rinat Fakhretdinov, he didn't sit still for half a second. He would be taken down. He's immediately moving. He's immediately making stuff happen. And I think all that movement, the not accepting bottom, plus we know he has the power in his hands, I think that's just all going to be too much for AJ Fletcher, who will potentially slow down and fade later in this fight. AJ may have some early success, but I think that's going to dwindle pretty quickly. So Bryan Battle, pretty confident favorite for me. One of my more confident picks on this card. Jacob is squarely on the other side, so we have competing bets there. So as underdogs are concerned, Tim Means, I'm on him as well. He's Jacob's lock of the week. You know, Tim Means is an absolute dog. Yes, he's 39, starting to slow down a little bit, but he looked very good against Alex Morono. He's fighting Fiallo. Fiallo's a little his chin is absolutely gone. He's starting to just not really be what he used to be. He would come in here, get into a firefight, super tough guy that can take your head off. Now he's getting clipped early. He's getting put out early. He doesn't seem to have that same just scary striking ready to go. I think if Tim Means can come forward, stay in Fiallo's face, he can grind out a win. Then we have Jake Collier. Jake Collier, frankly, Muhammad Usman's not very good, right? He's new to the sport. He's just a big, strong, athletic guy that's going to want to come forward, try to hopefully work in some takedowns if you're him. But Jake Collier, despite the losing streak, despite the lack of success he's had recently, despite the fact that he was a middleweight and now he's a heavyweight and not because he put on muscle, he is still an experienced guy. He still pumps a jab. He still stays busy. He can still wrestle if he needs to. Jake Collier could very well win this fight. I don't think he does, but as far as underdogs are concerned, and we're looking at underdogs on this card, we wouldn't be betting on Muhammad Usman. Not at that those odds and that line. I think Jake Collier makes a lot more sense. Then we have Gamrot in the main event. The reality is this is striker versus grappler. Gamrot's probably the best wrestler at this weight class. He's the most aggressive with his wrestling. He's nonstop. He cuts corners. He runs right through them. He's going to be the most persistent wrestler that Fiziev has ever fought. Gamrot does get dropped. Fiziev does have power. And that's what most people are leaning towards. But the reality is, as far as underdogs are concerned, Gamrot has a pretty good chance to win this fight. And then Dan Ige. Dan Ige plus 175. Here's the reality. I think Bryce Mitchell is one of the most overrated fighters on the roster. And people are going to hate me for that. Everybody loves him. I just think he's overrated. The reality is he's a mid-level wrestler that has very good jiu-jitsu control. Striking kind of sucks. He's not, while his jiu-jitsu is very good, it's more control than anything. He's got great scrambles. It's hard to get up from him if he takes you down, but he's not like submitting people left and right. And Bryce Mitchell's takedowns are not that good. And he's fighting a guy with worlds of experience that has only fought top 5 people in the world the last couple of years. I do think Bryce Mitchell wins, but between all of his personal drama, all the weird stuff he's saying at the press conference and things of that nature, Dan Ige is looking better and better every single day, especially with that line widening. So I'm going to keep an eye on that. We'll see what happens after weigh-ins. And if that continues to widen and Dan Ige is looking closer to a plus 200, I may throw something on there because the reality is every day that goes by, I am less confident in Bryce Mitchell. He really only has one way to win, and it's just non-stop wrestling. And yes, that's been a problem for Dan Ige in the past, but Dan Ige is going to be the harder hitter. Dan Ige is going to be the better striker. Dan Ige is going to be the more well-rounded fighter. He's going to have the more experience. The only ranked fighter that Bryce Mitchell fought was Ilia Topuria, beat the shit out of him. And you're going to say, well, but Bryce Mitchell beat Edson Barboza. Yes, he did. And he actually looked pretty good in that fight. But anyway, Dan Ige is looking pretty good at this money, especially if that line continues to widen. Let's talk about my actual bets. I got a whole bunch of parlays. That's on the next slide. Money line, I mentioned Bryan Battle and Tamiris Vidal, two of my most confident favorites on this card. I wasn't going to straight up bet Tamiris Vidal because she was minus 275. But when I saw minus 220, I actually did that bet today. I was like, you know what? Like, this is crazy to pass this up because we're going to be watching that fight. I mentioned in my quick picks video, she should be minus 500. She's going to look like a minus 500 fighter. And I'm going to say, why the hell didn't I bet her? So I went ahead. I threw 1.5 units on both of them. I am confident in both of them. Then I have a round prop parlay. I did over 1.5 rounds on Fialho and Means and Brundage and Malkoun. As long as these fights get past 1.5 rounds, then I'll go ahead and get paid at plus 135. Important note, premium members have seen this bet since Tuesday, I believe. The Brundage Malkoun line absolutely took off. That is now a 2.5 round line. It is no longer a 1.5. So if you were sitting around waiting, or if you're not a premium member, you just wait for this free video to find all your stuff, you might have missed out on that. Some books still have it as 1.5, but our preferred book does not. But anyway, I parlayed the over 1.5 on both of those. I don't know why they were 1.5. Malkoun is not dangerous. I get Brundage gets finished, but Malkoun is not a dangerous guy. And then Fialho Means, yes, Fialho's last couple of fights have ended early, but Tim Means is a tough guy, whether he's receiving the beating or giving one. So we should be in the clear there, but I only threw half a unit on it because I understand it is a little bit risky. And then here's all the parlays. I like to parlay confident with confident and a little sketchy with a little sketchy. Tamiris Vidal, Jacob Malkoun, minus 142. I got 1 unit. Marina Rodriguez and Mizuki Inoue. I just threw the 2 decent-sized women's favorites together. Mizuki Inoue, I think she's a little overrated. I think the value is not great on her at minus, what was she, a 3-1 favorite at this point? But the reality is Hannah Goldie is coming down in weight. She's probably going to look slow, exhausted, sucked out, drawn out. And I think she's very, very focused on her other career and not necessarily on this. And then Marina Rodriguez. This is a rematch. She did win the first time. I don't think that matters that much because Michelle Waterson took that fight on like 5 days notice or something. But I still think Marina should win this fight. So I go ahead and I put them together. They are the riskier of the people here. And then the last parlay I have is Dan Argueta, just straight up money line. And then the Usman Collier fight to go over 1.5. That's another fight. I don't know why that's a 1.5 round line. Neither one of those guys are especially dangerous. That's probably going to be a very boring, miserable decision of a fight. So I parlayed those together, and that is plus money. Let's take a look at my safety parlay. I'm not going to give it to you because it's for premium members, but I will tell you my safety parlay is round lines only. I took a couple of round lines, I parlayed them together, and that is the safety parlay. This was a weird card, and what I try to do is not be very exposed, right? I don't like to have a money line on somebody, then have that person in multiple parlays. I don't like to be overly exposed to people because then one fluke loss or a fluke shot, a weird judge's decision, and you've lost everything. So I do like to be a little more hedged. Actually, not hedged because I'm not betting both sides of a fight, but I do like to be a little more conservative about it and not overly exposed to any one fighter. If you want to unlock the safety parlay, which as I mentioned is hitting at a 70% clip, you can do that now. You can unlock it at WeWantPicks.com. Just click Become a Member at the top. Let's take a look at Jacob. As I mentioned, Jacob has been absolutely crushing it. Jacob can't lose. These dudes on like a 6 or 7 event win streak. And when Jacob wins, it's not the half a unit that I've been putting up or the 2 units that I put up. He's winning 5 units, 6 units, 7 units at a time. He's absolutely been on fire. And really what happened was he took that absolute beating when he did the Hibachi parlay. When Amanda Ribas lost, he was way too exposed. And he literally adjusted his betting style after that. And since then, he's absolutely been putting up some very real numbers. So I'll give you a little taste. If you want the rest of them, that is going to be for premium members only. He's got Tim Means money line. As you know, that is his lock of the week. And he got phenomenal value on that at plus 171. If you're a premium member, you saw that when he placed it. You could have gotten that same value then. Then he's got Mizuki Inoue wins inside the distance. He got very plus money on that. It basically takes her from a minus 250 to a plus 250 to say inside the distance. And while I think that fight goes the distance, I could absolutely see this bet, and I could see how Mizuki Inoue does win by finish, especially a sucked out, drawn out Hannah Goldie who's going down in weight. And then finally, he's got Marina Rodriguez wins by decision minus 150. And that's probably a decent bet because the reality is I do think Marina wins, and I do think she wins by a decision. If you want to see the 9 other units he has on this, and that's before all the props drop, become a premium member. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top. Let's take a look at the Bet Openly stuff that we have out there. Bet Openly, that's peer-to-peer. They're not a sportsbook. They are not a casino. It is person to person. We have the anti-lock of the week up there, which means you'll be taking Andre Fiallo. You're going directly against Jacob, directly against the lock of the week. And then the anti-safety parlay. You can take the other side of the safety parlay. If any of it loses, you win. You get the exact opposite side of that. Meaning, you don't need both of my parlay legs to break. You just need one of them to lose, and then you go ahead and you get paid out. All the links to those are in our Discord. Our Discord is 100% free. If you're a premium member, you unlock very special channels, but the rest of it is 100% free. So join that. That link is in the description. And guys, don't forget, get that $50 from us. WeWantPicks.com/bets. Sign up, make a deposit using our link, and we will send you $50 as a thank you.